Want to hear all about Jess's recent trip to Japan? She scored business class flights that would have cost her over $20,000 for just $1,000 in taxes and fees. And she got 9 nights at luxury Hyatt hotels for less than $300. Listen up as she shares exactly how she did it and how you can do it too. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. We are three moms who've discovered how to leverage credit card welcome offers to get hundreds of thousands of dollars of travel expenses for nearly free. We've used credit card points and miles to take vacations to places like Hawaii, Paris, Greece, Maldives, Japan, and so much more. And the best part, we each still have 800 plus credit scores. Imagine being able to take the vacation of your dreams for nearly free. It's totally possible, and we're here to show you how. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess.
Jess just returned from a 10-day trip to Japan. Jess, we want to hear all about how you got there, where you stayed. I know a lot of people are super interested in Japan. So first, tell us, though, about your flights. How did you get there?
Okay, so I went on this trip with both of my stepdaughters, Ella and Olivia. So Ella has graduated college. She works remotely, and so she's not bound by any sort of school schedule. And Olivia's in college, but they don't go back until the end of January. And so when this deal popped up, I was like, hey, we should take a girls' trip to Japan. And they were both fully on board. And so Ella lives in Chicago, and Olivia was in Chicago home from college. And so the deal that popped up, one of the departing airports was O'Hare. So I said, I will fly to O'Hare, meet you at O'Hare, and then we will fly from O'Hare to Tokyo. So this started out dramatic. Luckily the drama ended and everything was fine. But so our flight was leaving on a Tuesday morning, and I was supposed to fly to Chicago Monday night. I thought I was golden. I was like, I'm going to fly in Monday night. I'm going to stay at the Hyatt Regency by the airport, leave Tuesday morning. It's going to be great. Well, Mother Nature had other plans, and the weather was looking dicey both in Houston and in Chicago. So I frantically texted Alex and was like, I think this was on Sunday. I was like, I think I need to fly to Chicago tonight. I hadn't even started packing yet at that point for my 10-day trip to Japan.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm just going to, California for the weekend. You're going on a bucket list trip to Japan. So you kind of want to have what you want.
Yeah. So I had booked the flight originally on American Airlines using British Airways Avios. Fortunately, I was able to cancel that flight and get the points redeposited into my account. I ended up booking a flight on United for Sunday night. I paid cash for it because I think it was around $250. And then I had around $50 in my United Travel Bank from American Express cards. And so I was like, $200 out of pocket is worth it for the peace of mind of getting to Chicago and not thwarting this entire trip because I can't get there. So I booked
Or
that
just
with
dealing from the stress. Like maybe you would have got there the next day, but the stress that you would have been under if, your flight keeps getting delayed, would have been not worth your mental sanity either.
I'm so shocked when you said that, Jess, because it was like, wait, she lives in Houston. It's never bad weather. I'm thinking of winter weather and snow and all that stuff. So I was so surprised because I've had that happen to me a couple times, and it is nerve wracking. In fact, there's a couple times. That's why I like to go the night before. I mean, and you had that contingency. You planned that. And that still wasn't necessarily going to work. And even a couple times because of an award flight, I really want to make sure I get there without any troubles. I'll book a backup Southwest flight that I can cancel like 10 minutes before you're supposed to board it, that leaves a little bit later, just so that I know that I have a flight to get where I'm going to. So I felt your pain and your anxiety. That's a rough one.
Yeah. So this was around 2 p.m. I changed my flights and I had to be at the airport at 6. And so I had 4 hours to shower, pack my bag, get all my ducks in a row, like, I'm
Book another
leaving.
hotel night.
I had to book, yeah, luckily so I had my other night booked at the Regency O'Hare, and there was availability for Sunday night, so I just tacked on another night. That was 6,500 points, and so, 13,000 Hyatt points for both nights, $0. I was like, "Thank goodness for points and miles." That
Yeah.
I mean, it's stressful, but it's less stressful when you're not having to, like, figure out how you're gonna pay for all of this out of pocket, and so I got there, my flight left on time at 6, I got to the Hyatt, slept there, and then I was golden, the next day. We got out of Chicago fine.
Whatever happened, did you, like, follow your flight that was supposed the original flight?
Yes, 'cause I'm
Did
yes,
it
'cause
make it?
I'm like it made it, but it was 6 hours delayed.
Oh, yeah, you would have been
I would have been panicking, and the other thing is it didn't like, I wouldn't have gotten to the Hyatt until probably 1 or 2 a.m.,
oh, yeah,
and
that would have been
then I
terrible.
have to leave. I have to be at the airport at 7:30 the next morning, like, it would have just I would have been a mess. So, I was very
Not how you
thankful.
wanna start off your 10-day trip to Japan
No,
would have been getting to the hotel at 2 a.m. and then waking up back at the airport at 7:30 and then, all day traveling
no, I
wouldn't
would
be
have
very
been a
fun.
mess, so I was very thankful that I did what I did. So then, Ella and Olivia actually came and stayed at the Hyatt with me that Monday night so that we could all go to the airport together on Tuesday. So the way I booked this flight is I had all 3 of us in business class. We were on Japan Airlines. So there's a direct flight on Japan Airlines from Chicago to Tokyo. We booked it for 75,000 miles each via Cathay Pacific. So it was on a Japan Airlines plane, but Japan Airlines and Cathay Pacific are both in the One World Alliance. So I was able to book through Cathay Pacific Asia Miles. That route has since been devalued and will now cost 89,000 miles, which is very unfortunate, but I feel like 89,000 miles is still in the realm of, like, pretty good for such a long flight in business
Yeah,
class.
especially direct, there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I would not hesitate to book that flight again for 89,000 miles.
What point did you transfer Amex to Cathay Pacific?
Yeah, so I transferred Amex and Capital One. I had to kinda scrounge all my miles together. So I transferred Amex and Capital One. Citi also transfers to Cathay Pacific. So it's a nice one because you have 3 options when it comes to the banks. So all in for the 3 of us, it was 225,000 Asia miles. And then the taxes were a little high. They were around $348 each. But the cash price of this flight would have been like $10,000 each. So, the fact that, I was paying 350 for a 14-hour flight is pretty good. And then coming home, all right, so I only had enough miles for me to fly business class coming home. Um, so I flew.
You're still the stepmother of the year. I
I
mean,
know, I
just
felt
to it's like, it's so amazing that, that you used all your points and miles for this. I just, kudos to Jess.
well, it's funny because I texted them and I said, "I wanna take us to Japan, but I only have enough miles for you to fly one way in business class with me." And they were like, "We don't care. We just wanna go to Japan, like, we'll fly economy both ways." And I said, "No, I want." We were celebrating Olivia's 20th birthday, and I was like, "No, I want you to fly with me in business class one way, but coming home, you're not gonna be able to." So I flew the exact same route in reverse, Japan Airlines from Tokyo to Chicago. This one I booked through American Airlines. This is a steal of a deal. If you have American Airlines miles, 60,000 American Airlines miles from Tokyo to Chicago and $47 in taxes. Like, that is
That's crazy.
that's crazy. It is a lot harder to accumulate American miles than it is to accumulate something like Cathay Pacific Asia miles because none of the banks transfer to American. I got those miles from opening the Barclays American Airlines business card. So I had a stash of American miles, and this is a fantastic use for those, but I know for a lot of people it's hard to rack up AA miles. Ella and Olivia flew United Economy. It was only 35,000 miles each.
That's
And
amazing
so,
too.
So
yeah,
they were on a
so
different flight.
they were on a different flight. Their flight left a little bit. It was actually nice for them because their flight didn't leave until I think 5 or 6 p.m. So they had basically an entire day in Tokyo, whereas I had to leave at 10 a.m. that morning. So, um, but yeah, so they were United Economy, 70,000 miles total for both of them direct from Tokyo to Chicago. And same thing, $47 in taxes each. And then during check-in, I paid, I think it was around $100 to upgrade them to Economy Plus.
Oh, nice.
Because I felt bad. I was like, I'm just gonna give you some extra leg room on your 12-hour flight.
And through the night.
Yeah, through them. They're like overnight, but they're like, it doesn't matter. Like we fly economy all the
They're
time. It's
young.
fine. So that is how we got to and from Tokyo. Then once we arrived, okay, the other thing I forgot to mention is our flight to Tokyo was empty. I sent Alex and Pam a video of this, but we were 3 of 5 people in business class. So I was filming all sorts of reels. I was dancing down the aisle. I mean, it was a content gold mine because nobody else was on this flight. And side note, I'm gonna have by the time this comes out, it will probably already be posted. I wrote a very detailed blog post about my Japan Airlines business class review. So I don't want to go too into detail because I have a lot more to cover in this episode. But TLDR is that I loved it. Would totally fly Japan Airlines again. The seat was like a little bit more dated than some of the business class uh, products that I have flown, but the service was amazing. It was still comfortable, plenty of room. I mean, it's business class. Every seat has direct aisle access, which is really nice if you are traveling alone or like there's an odd number of us. And so Ella and Olivia were next to each other, but I was by myself. I didn't have anyone sitting next to me because there was no one on this flight. But if I had someone sitting next to me, it was nice to have direct aisle access.
Did you say TLDR? What the heck is that?
Too long, didn't read. Like
Oh
the
my
short
goodness.
version of something.
Okay.
You're helping a lot of people out though, Mom. Other people are probably
Yes, I'm like,
Googling it.
huh?
You know what? I saw your wheels turning and I was
Did you see
thinking,
my face?
yeah. I was like, we'll break that down for her
She's
later.
like,
I
"What
was trying.
language is Jess speaking right now?"
Was that something you learned in Japan? Like I'm trying to go the download TDL, but yeah. Okay. Well, for those of you that are listening, I've cleared that up that are older like me.
So, yes, would totally fly Japan Airlines again. So we land in Tokyo. The biggest thing I was worried about going into this trip was how we were gonna get around because I don't speak Japanese. I can't read Japanese. And so I was worried that when it came to taking public transportation, we were going to get on the wrong train or get on the wrong bus or not know where we were going. It turns out that it is so much easier. And I had just like built it up in my head and it was so easy. So we flew into Haneda Airport. That is the one, the initials are HND. And that's definitely closer to the center of Tokyo. So if you have a choice, I know you don't always have a choice. If you have a choice, I recommend flying into that one.
Yeah, I flew into Narita and it was definitely longer. And that's how we flew out to. And yeah, I would definitely go with the one that you did if you have a choice.
Yeah. And so I was able, if you follow us on Instagram, I saved highlights for Tokyo and Kyoto. In my Tokyo highlight, I kind of go more in depth about how the public transportation works and the best way to set up your card. Like I basically added it to my Apple Watch and just scanned my Apple Watch everywhere. Ella and Olivia scanned their iPhones everywhere. So we never had any sort of paper ticket or plastic ticket or anything like that. It's really, really easy with technology now. Um, so yeah, I was worried for nothing, basically. We stayed 4 nights at the Andaz Tokyo. Amazing location. It's actually the trains run underneath the Andaz. And so getting to and from the train, you basically don't have to even leave the underground tunnel system. And so super convenient location wise. It is a category 7 Hyatt. And so standard award nights are 30,000 Hyatt points a night. All 4 of our nights were off peak, which jackpot.
So
So
lucky. So lucky.
yeah, January is a little bit of obviously an off peak time to go to Japan. The huge, really popular time is in the spring, end of March, early April when the sakura season, the cherry blossoms are in bloom. So January is a little bit off peak. Um, so yeah, we were able to get all 4 nights for 100,000 Hyatt points and $0. And then the Andaz is also one of very few hotels that I found that take points and also allow 3 people in a standard room. So I only had to book 1 room for the 3 of us. I booked it as 3 adults. I booked a 2 twin room, and then they added a rollaway bed. So plenty of room for all 3 of us. The views were amazing. The Andaz takes up the 48th to the 52nd floor of the building that it's in. And so the views are amazing from the rooms, they're amazing, from the breakfast restaurant, they're amazing. They have a rooftop bar and lounge. We went there, amazing from there.
You know, because I stayed there also, and I feel like when I'm looking back, it's like I go, "That's right, it was an Andaz." And I mean, I like Andazes. I think Andazes are great, but that hotel to me seemed like a Park Hyatt caliber hotel. I mean, it's gorgeous. The views of Tokyo, of the Tokyo Tower, crazy amazing. They give you treats, and we all know I appreciate a treat in a hotel room. And the pajamas that they have there, the cutest pajamas. Jess has some video she took, some reels with them on, and they are just so adorable. Just and they're big by most comparisons of most hotels. Probably they're really large rooms and large bathrooms. It's a great place to stay. I 100% agree with you.
I brought the pajamas home with me. I was like, I
Can
can't. Yeah, well, you have to pay for them, but
Oh,
I was like, "I
okay.
don't care, I'm paying for them."
What did they
And so
cost? Because they were so cute.
I don't know, I just said bill it to my room,
Okay.
so I don't know what they I guess I
You're like,
should
I
go
don't want to know how much
I
those
guess I
cost.
should go check my bill, but I paid
Ignorance is bliss.
$0 for the room,
Yeah.
so whatever it is, it is. But yeah, and the other thing is there's at least 2 or 3 different observation decks that you can go to in Tokyo, like there's the Tokyo Sky Tree, there's at least 1 or 2 more. I had no desire to go to one of those because I was like, "Why am I going to buy a ticket, stand in a huge line of tourists who wanna go up in this observation deck when I have these views from my room?" And so, um
Smart girl, because I did pay and it wasn't worth it. So after those views in the Ondas, so
yeah,
amazing.
so the nice thing too, obviously, we had breakfast every morning at their restaurant, The Tavern, and that was covered via my globalist benefits, and it was really nice because they covered all 3 of us. Some hotels, like the Park Hyatt Kyoto that I'll get to shortly, will not cover 3 adults since the benefit is technically for 2 adults and 2 children. The Andaz covered all 3 of us, which was great. The breakfast was delicious. It was you could order anything you wanted off the menu, and there was also an extensive buffet, and so we did not go hungry at all. Um, but the other nice thing is that every night from 6 to 8, they have sort of a social hour in the lobby area, and this is open to all guests, so you do not have to have any sort of status with Hyatt as long as you're staying there, and they have wine and beer and heavy appetizers. Like, our first night that we arrived in Tokyo, we got to the hotel around 3:30, and we are just wiped, exhausted. So we went to the happy hour at 6 and just filled up on snacks and wine and went to bed. So, um, that's really nice, and then in the mornings, they do in that same area near the lobby, they have pastries, like, they had a couple of different types of muffins, water, fruit, like bananas and apples and oranges out for anyone also. And so, obviously, it's not a huge substantial breakfast, but if you're not a huge breakfast eater or if you have kids or if you just wanna grab a snack, like, that's also free for any guest. And so, it's kinda like a little free continental breakfast thrown in there.
Just you had a massage there too, didn't you?
I
Because I have
did.
talked to you about that. Is that massage room amazing? The views when you look out there in the massage room are just surreal. It's amazing.
Yeah. Like, the nicest view from a massage room that I've ever had. So, highly and their spa, like, even they have, like, a pool, and then they have a jacuzzi, and they have a jacuzzi with, like, carbonated water that was really cool. That's all free to guests too. So, I highly recommend checking out their spa and pool area if you visit, because it is pretty incredible, and it's also on the 40 something floor, and so the views from there are really amazing too. So, 100% would stay at the Andaz again. If and when I go back to Tokyo, I am definitely staying at the Andaz, no question, no desire to try another hotel, like, that is it.
Can I just wanna quickly say, though, if someone does wants to stay somewhere that's fewer points, and I know I covered this in another podcast, Hyatt-centric, fewer points, super, super cute. I mean, it is adorable. It's cute. This is lavish.
And the Hyatt Centric is also in the Ginza area, and I really, really liked that area when we walked around it, and so I totally agree that I could definitely see that being a great place to stay. As far as things we did in Tokyo, I'm gonna just highlight a few of them. So, we did Team Lab Planets, which I highly, highly recommend. You do need to make a reservation at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. I made ours 3 weeks in advance. And it is basically I wanna describe it as like a walk through art exhibit. That's what it feels like, and it
It's an
like you could
Like
click
immersion,
interactive,
isn't it?
right?
yeah, it's like an immersion. It's like an
Yeah.
art immersion experience, and so
I wish I had known about it. I heard it's incredible.
yeah, it's so there's all these different rooms, and I do wanna say you should wear pants because some of the rooms have mirrors on the floor, so if you're wearing a skirt or a dress, that's not gonna be the greatest idea, and they also should be pants that you can roll up because you do walk through water, so, you don't wanna be wearing, like, skinny jeans to this exhibit, so yeah, pants you can roll up. Kids would it would be great for kids, like, we all loved it, but there were tons of kids there. Molly would have loved it if she were with us, so I feel like it's a great experience for any age. We also went to the Tsushigi Tsukiji I'm gonna mispronounce everything in this episode. Okay, Tsukiji Outer Market, and Pam, I think you went there
I did.
also.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really neat.
I was hoping you were gonna say, "Actually, Jess, this is how it's pronounced."
So, we went there for lunch after we left Team Lab Planets. It's an outdoor market. It does get very crowded, but I feel like that just adds to the ambiance of it. And so it's basically just a bunch of stalls of food, sweet stuff, savory stuff, pretty much anything you can think of. We waited. I had read if you see a line somewhere, then you know it's good. And so we found a line at a sushi stand, and I was like, "Let's get in line. This has gotta be good." And it was very, very good.
So, Jess, you are fine with, just the raw fish, aren't you? Because you love sushi. See, I like sushi, but I'm picky. I like cook the tempura shrimp in it and stuff. And I watch what Jess eats on her trips, and I am always so amazed and I'm so jealous that I'm not that adventurous eater because she eats some things that I would never try, but I wish I could get past and do it. So I want
Okay,
that to be
speaking
part of my travel experience.
I will share something with you that Ella tried that I was horrified by, and oh my gosh, we went to this place for dinner one night. I didn't even share this in stories. We went to this place for dinner one night, and they brought out this drink, and it was a jar, like a big jar of alcohol with a dead snake in it,
Oh,
and Ella drank it. And the guy said that the snake had been dead for 5 years.
oh, that's amazing. So did they just keep putting
No,
this
I
did
can't
they just
even.
keep putting the snake
I mean, I know y'all don't drink to begin with, so you would never try that, but I was like, "Are you really gonna try that?" And then she did, and she was like, "Oh, it tastes pretty
well,
good."
does it when you tip it up, does the snake doesn't slip out or anything?
So they, it's a big jar, and they put a ladle in it and kinda just, like, scoop the alcohol out and pour it into a
Oh,
glass.
okay. Did
So
you
you're not, like, drinking from the
got it.
dish with the snake in
Wonder if
it,
they
but
use that
still, I was
same
like, "This is."
do they use that same snake for then other drinks? This the whole thing is just ugh.
No, but I was just like, "I'm gonna pass on
Yeah.
this. This is a little bit too adventurous for me." So, yes, the Tsukiji Outer Market is I really recommend it. Like I said, it's crowded, so you're going to want to be prepared for crowds, but I think it was totally worth it. Another place we went, this was okay, so the name of the street is Takeshita Street, and it's in the Harajuku area of Tokyo. It was so fun. Like, I was sending Molly pictures and videos of this street, and she was so jealous because she is a huge fan of Sanrio, which is like Hello Kitty and all those little characters. They had a Sanrio store. They have all these, those machines where you, like, put a coin in and you twist the knob and then a little toy comes out?
Mhm.
There were shops full of them, like hundreds of these machines.
That would be so dangerous for
No,
my younger kids.
I was telling Ellen and Olivia, I said, "I am glad she's not here because I wouldn't have any money left by the time this trip is over because she would spend it all on these little toys, and then we would have nowhere to pack them because my suitcase was full." So, I was sending her these pictures, and she said, when can we go to Japan? When can we go back?" And so, she is very much on board the Japan train now. While we were in that area, we went to a place called Cafe Reissue. They have an Instagram account if you wanna check them out. They are really big on latte art, but it's not just the latte art that you think of. They make little animals and characters out of the foam, and you can basically choose any character you want. There were people there who had a picture of their dog, and they made their dog out of the foam.
You should have brought a picture of Sam.
I know,
You
I
should have
forgot
shown him a
Sam.
picture of Sam or
I
Ruth.
should've.
Those are Jessica's cats.
I got Cinema Roll, who is one of the Sanrio character. That's Molly's favorite Sanrio character. So, I got that on my latte and took a picture and sent it to her, and then she was really mad at me. So, because she wanted to be there. But if you're like Alex and Pam and you don't drink coffee, or if you have kids, they also have hot chocolate that you can get the art on top of. And so I think it's such a fun, cute, like quintessential Japanese little cafe where I feel like in Japan, they have all these really fun food and drink places. And so highly recommend that with kids or without, like we were. And then we also did a day trip to Kamakura. Pam, I know you and Lee went there also. I loved it. It's about an hour via train outside of Tokyo. I booked an Airbnb experience, and I will link in the show notes the exact experience that we booked. Our guide's name was Masa, and he was incredible. So it was called a Kamakura History Walk. We got to go see the Great Buddha. I'm sure if you were to search Google Images, you would recognize the Great Buddha in Kamakura. We got to go to a bamboo forest and drink matcha. He taught us all about the differences between temples and shrines and those certain ways you bow and clap at the different ones. It was just super informative. And it was a 4-hour-long tour. I booked a private tour with him, and it was, I think, $265 for all 3 of us total, which I feel like is a very reasonable price for a 4-hour private tour. So, 100% recommend. this tour, and I recommend visiting Kamakura. It's a great little town. The last thing I want to recommend in Tokyo is this bar called Benfittich. It is in the top 50 bars in the world. Michelle from LAX to Luxury had posted in her stories about it, and I said, I have to go there. Alex and Pam, I know the big drinkers that you both are. This is totally going on your list for next time you're in Japan. No, but yeah, I'm sure they can make you a really great mocktail. It's a super cute little bar. You have to have a reservation. There are only seats for about 14 or 15 people in there. They do not have a menu. You just tell them, like, I like drinks that taste like this, and they just make you a cocktail from their mind. And so, very unique experience, very fun. Olivia, my stepdaughter, was turning 20 on this trip, and 20 is the legal drinking age in Japan. And so they were very excited to celebrate her birthday and make her a cocktail and all that stuff. So it was a fun place.
You know what you didn't do, and I wanna know why. Didn't you go to sumo wrestling after all my talk about how I loved that so much?
I actually think I did look into sumo wrestling, but it seems like it's not all the time.
Y
There's
it
like
they probably weren't having the events, but they always have training, which wouldn't
okay,
be as
we did not
interesting
go.
as yeah, that wouldn't be as great as them actually fighting
It's
against each
hard because
other.
there was so much that I wanted to do, and I was trying to pack it all in, and yeah, I did look into going to that, but then there weren't any in Tokyo. We would have had to go, like, really far away to go to it, so I'll do it next time, I
Okay.
promise.
It's really fun, and even if you're not there when they're doing the actual, challenges and stuff, then you can go to where they do just the training. So, if someone's going to Japan, it's really interesting. So, you have to do it next time.
So then we stayed at the Andaz 4 nights. We took the Shinkansen, also known as the bullet train, from Tokyo to Kyoto. That's about a 2-hour ride. You're gonna wanna sit on the right side of the train if you wanna see the amazing views of Mount Fuji, which I highly recommend if the weather cooperates. We took a cab from Kyoto Station to the Park Hyatt. Kyoto does not have an extensive train system the way that Tokyo does. So, pretty much your options are taxis or taking the bus. It just takes a little bit longer to take the bus, and so we were like, with our luggage, we don't wanna deal with that. So, the taxi ride was around $15. Most of the taxis take credit cards, and so that's really nice. We stayed 4 nights at the Park Hyatt Kyoto. This hotel is amazing. Like, Pam, you need to go there. You need to go back to Japan, go to the Park Hyatt Kyoto. It is a category 8 Hyatt, and so it is pricey. Standard nights are 40,000 points. Again, we lucked out with 4 off-peak nights, so they were 35,000 points each for a grand total of 140,000 Hyatt points and $0 for our 4 nights. I then redeemed a suite upgrade award to a park suite. With these rooms, technically, they only sleep 2 adults and 1 child, and so I had to pay 10,000 yen per night, which is around $67, for the 3rd adult in our room. If you have children 12 or younger, you would not have to pay anything. The cash rate for our suite was over $4,000 a night. I was more than happy to pay $67 a night for our 3rd adult instead of getting a 2nd room at this Hyatt.
So, some people might be wondering, when you went to go add the third adult or let them know you had a third adult, what was the process you went through to let them know, "Hey, we need to," so did you get a rollaway?
So
Or what was
apparently
the room setup?
okay, here's what I did. So I had originally booked the standard room for 2 adults because you can't book a standard room for 3 adults. So I had booked a standard room for 2 adults, contacted my concierge to apply my suite upgrade award, but I never added the 3rd adult. And so when we got there to check in, they just let me know. They just
Oh,
said,
okay.
but I knew that the suite could hold 3 adults because
Yeah.
when I searched on the website, that came up as an option. Like, when I
R
searched for 3 adults,
Yeah.
the park suite was an option. So I knew that 3 adults could fit in there. I just never updated my reservation. And so when we got there, they told me about the charge, and I said, "That's fine." And then they said, "And we'll add a rollaway to the room." So they added a rollaway for her.
Nice. So was it a king bed with a rollaway?
Yeah, so it was a king bed, and then the living room area had a day bed, which I think if you have a, like, small child, they could fit on there, but Olivia's taller than I am, so she would not fit on the day bed. So, yeah, so Ella and I slept in the king, and then Olivia slept on the rollaway, and the suite was huge, like, it was even with the rollaway in there, we were not in tight quarters. So, um yeah, so just be aware, and like I said, they did charge us for 1 person for breakfast because they were a little bit more strict on the 2 adults and 2 children rule, and so I think it was around $35 or $40 each morning for her breakfast, but I was fine to pay that because $35 for 3 people to eat is still cheaper than if we had tried to go out ourselves. Um
So was the Park Hyatt your favorite of the 2 hotels, or did you love them both, or one?
They're different because Tokyo is so it's a huge city, it's
Yeah.
so lively and there's nightlife and the Andaz looks out on all the lit up skyscrapers and buildings, and the Park Hyatt Kyoto has 70 rooms and it's so chill, like, everything in Kyoto closes at 6 p.m. So if you are looking for nightlife, which I am not, but if you are looking for nightlife, you should not stay in Kyoto because
Kyoto sounds perfect for all 3 of us,
yes.
but yeah.
So they're just super different, I loved the views at the Andaz. I would say I slightly preferred the breakfast at the Park Hyatt, but they were both really good. I liked the room better at the Park Hyatt. It was just bigger. It was a suite, so it was
Yeah.
bigger. The bathroom was beautiful with, like, black marble all over it. We had 2 bathrooms, so and there was, like, a little garden. It overlooked a little garden area. And so it's just very peaceful. It's just like you walk in the room and you're like, "I feel so relaxed," and,
Which is
like
probably perfect after being in a big city to be
yes.
like, "Okay, now I'm like, it's more chill and just relaxed,"
Yeah,
and
so it was really nice to experience both. Like, if
yeah.
I went back to Tokyo, I would 100% stay at the Andaz, and if I went back to Kyoto, I would 100% stay at the Park Hyatt again. Um, and so the other nice thing is if you are a globalist, they have a champagne happy hour. Again, Alex and Pam, I know y'all are adding it to your list for this reason. They have a champagne happy hour in the lobby every night from 5 to 6. And so it's just free flowing champagne. They will come fill up your glass as many times as you want. So that could be a selling point for some people. They also have a 4th floor terrace with an amazing view to watch the sunset behind the pagoda. It's just, like, picturesque, traditional Japanese. Like, I was like, I feel like I should take a picture and, like, print it on a postcard, and that's, like, my Japanese postcard. So it's in a beautiful area, and I really liked it. A few things we did in Kyoto, the Fushimi Inari Shrine is probably one of the most famous things there. It's when you see the red torii gates from Kyoto, that's kind of what you think of, and that's at Fushimi Inari Shrine. We did a couple of I've talked about this app before. It's called the Voice Map app. I will link it in the show notes. You can download walking tours of different cities all over the world. We did one in Italy. My husband and I did one in Italy. We did a couple in Kyoto, and they're a great way to learn more about the area that you're in. They only cost $7.99 each, and so super cheap. We just bring our AirPods and hook them up to one phone and, got to know a little bit more about the area. And so we did one at Fushimi Inari Shrine, which was really interesting.
Yeah, I'll give a second to recommendation for that app. It's really, really good. We used it in Split, Croatia to do a tour of the city there, and yeah, it's so good. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, so we did one at Fushimi Inari Shrine, which I highly recommend, and we also did one in the Gion district of Kyoto, which is not far from the Park Hyatt. We walked there, and so we did a walking tour there, and that is an area famous for the geishas and the maikos, and so we got to learn a little bit about the history of those. So highly recommend both of those voice map tours in Kyoto. We also went to Nishiki Market, which is similar to Tsukiji Market from Tokyo. It's just a little bit smaller, but similar sort of concept. Outdoor market, really great place to get food or desserts. We did a tea ceremony at a place called Camellia Flower Tea House. It's just a block away from the Park Hyatt. So we walked there and we added on a kimono experience. And so we got to go, they have a little kimono studio connected to the tea house. We got to go there. We got to choose our kimono and our bag and our hair accessories and our purse. And they dressed us. I feel like I was in Cinderella. You know, when like in Cinderella, all the mice like put her dress on her? That's what I felt like.
Kimono was gorgeous.
I
Absolutely
loved
gorgeous.
it.
And that's what I would have wanted to take home because it was so beautiful. The colors were amazing.
I saw it and I was like, that's the one. That's it. And so they get you dressed. And in Japan, when you dress up in a kimono, it's almost like a sign of respect for them. Like you're respecting their culture and you're excited about their culture and you want to partake in it. And so that's the thing is it's sort of a traditional thing to wear a kimono to a tea ceremony. You do not have to, but it's a fun little add-on. And so we went to the kimono studio. They dressed us up. We walked around and took some pictures. And then we went back to the tea house for the tea ceremony. And that was really cool too. It lasted around 40 to 45 minutes. We got to watch them make the tea and then we got to make the tea ourselves and drink it. And so highly, highly recommend a tea ceremony in Kyoto. We also did a day trip to Nara and Osaka. That's about an hour outside of Kyoto. Nara is famous for all the deer they have there. They have a Nara park and it is full of deer. And so it's a really cool place to walk around. Molly would have loved it. If you have kids, I highly recommend going there. And then Osaka is one of the food capitals of the world. And so if you're a foodie, Pam, I don't know. Well, actually, Pam, I had some really good tempura shrimp and rice in Osaka. So I think you would have been all about that. So yeah, we went to Osaka next and it kind of gave me more Tokyo vibes. Like it's very vibrant and lively city. So we walked around there, had dinner there, and then we headed back to the Park Hyatt. We also went to the Golden Pavilion one morning, and that is stunning and beautiful. And I highly recommend checking that out. We took a taxi there arranged by the Park Hyatt. I think that's the way to go because I don't even know if their bus is kind of far. I don't know if their buses go that far away. So all in all, an amazing trip. We did one more night in Tokyo at the Andaz before flying home. So that was another, I think, 25,000 points a night. So all in all, we saved a lot of money. Could never have afforded to stay at either of these places, especially the Park Hyatt in a 4,000 a night suite if I were paying cash. And so, like I said, I loved Tokyo and Kyoto. They're very different, but I'm glad I visited both and I would totally go back to both.
They sound amazing. And I would wish we had gone to Kyoto also, but ours was just kind of tacked on to a different trip. So
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. So by combining American Express membership rewards, Capital One Venture miles, and Hyatt points, Jess was able to score a 10-day trip to Japan with her stepdaughters that would have cost her tens of thousands of dollars, and she only spent about $1,500. Are you ready to get started so that you can turn your bucket list dream into a reality? Sign up for our free masterclass, How to Start Traveling for Nearly Free. We'll include a link to register in the show notes.
Thanks so much for listening to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Mom Squad. We can't wait to see where in the world points and miles take you.